Hello everyone, this is PensyFan19 back with another model train review. This time I'm reviewing two more of my newest acquisitions. Both of them are Lionel Legacy Gensets. Now these are my first two Legacy series locomotives in my collection, in which these are scale models when compared to any other model train. So every single bolt, screw, even handrail is spaced the exact same way as the real life NRE Genset. Now, the Genset in real life is usually utilized for short haul operations, basically for a lot of switching services in many industrial yards, and these were developed in the mid to late 2000s as they have separate prime movers to help power the engine and in order to be more fuel efficient. However, many of these weren't very successful and many railroads have since stored them. I don't think there are many BNSF Gensets still in service, if any, but there are still a handful of Union Pacific Gensets still in service, specifically in the Southern California region, in order to be compliant with low emission regulations in the area. So I decided to get both of these initially for the model train display that we hold in downtown Port Jeff during the winter. And these usually pull, well, they did pull an assortment of candy cars, about 14 or so different cars, so obviously since these are Legacy locomotives, they are pretty strong. However, I did have to utilize the 48-inch curved tracks instead of the average 36. Yes, I was able to run both of these on the 36-inch tracks for the trade show, but I had to attach a rubber band to the back of the coupler with the locomotive, since one of the main things with Legacy, when compared to any other O-gauge locomotive, is that since they're accurate to the actual design, the couplers are attached to the frame instead of the trucks. The trucks move just fine along with the curves, but since it's attached to the frame, the coupler goes wherever the frame goes, and that usually causes the freight cars behind it to slightly derail, and then one thing leads to another. And now, to give a little bit of a demonstration, I'm going to back up the Union Pacific Genset onto a relatively loose end of the 10-car intermodal set that I have set up for these two Gensets. Now, I included both of these engines in the same video since they're more or less the same model, albeit with a different railroad. They have the same features, same sounds, and apparently after leaving this engine running for a little bit, it has a temporary stored, or a idle mode, I suppose. But very interesting for the engine. I didn't notice this until now. So here's a demonstration of what happens when the coupler, which is attached to the frame, is attached to a relatively loose or rigid truck. Alright, we have it coupled up. Notice how the coupler kind of dragged it off. Now the entire front truck is off of the rails. Now, as you saw, the coupler on the tractor-trailer intermodal was very loose. It was almost all over the place, and because of that, there's not a lot of weight on the trucks over there, and because of that, it was easily dragged off of the tracks by the Genset engine's coupler, and that kind of derailed the front trucks. Now, when compared to the other end of the train, for the double-stack intermodals, the coupler is more rigid, it's more solid, it's more controlled by the top layer of the intermodal, and because of that, it also has a greater effect on the coupler of the Genset and is able to round the bend just fine, as seen right here. So when a double stack intermodal is connected to the genset, the locomotive is able to perfectly complete one full loop. That is on the 48-inch. So we have the BNSF genset running first, followed by the Union Pacific in a few minutes. Now I chose BNSF and Union Pacific for these two models in particular since I might as well increase my collection of Western Class 1s, and I'm going to let BNSF go first because it's my favorite Class 1. And the first 4 cars of this 10-car set are from a BNSF intermodal set, specifically for GP38. While the last 6 belong to a CSX intermodal, which belonged to the CSX GP38 on the upper track. And the reason why the tracks are orange on the upper loop is because that was also used for a train set for the model train display, specifically for the Hot Wheels train. And on this loop, we also have an assortment of miscellaneous boxes. This is where the Christmas layout used to be, but since we packed it up, we have a slightly modified layout for the inner loop. And instead of the Lionel Line steam locomotive, we have the also recently reviewed CSX Lion Chief Plus 2.0 ET44AC, leading the Lionel boxcar train. Next to that is the Lion Chief 2.0 Polar Express. And these are 2 trains I'll be running in the background. Here's the Lionel Line steam locomotive on the side. And double line, there's these 2 over there. And let's get going. Alright, so after filling up the genset with some smoke fluid via a funnel into the exhaust pipes, even though it's supposed to be low emissions, that just adds to the effects of the locomotive while it's going by, so let's get it ready. Put the CSX GP38 running. Engine is being operated from a transformer, I don't think there's really an option for crew talk, so it just happens spontaneously whenever the engine is moving, I suppose. Still a nice touch nonetheless.
Cameron. Last but not least, the CSX Turbo. Now there was a slight off-speed derailment earlier in which the coupler between the two ground intermodal cars came apart. Now apparently the tension with the Genset locomotive, where we usually derailed the front truck of a loose coupler, or at least a loose truck, that tension instead went to the truck that was holding the two ground intermodals together. But it's nothing that a pair of pliers can't fix. We're able to screw them back together and everything is now running fine. seeing you though. section of the engines cup also goes towards the last truck of the CSX tractor trailers. So with that in mind, it's a great engine, but it has a little bit too much strength on some of these cars. So might as well start powering down some of these trains. It's been a little bit of a long run anyways. A long but good run. Got each of the engine's wheels going. With that in mind, let's start with the Express. CSX. That is the CSX 3, right? it's a very good legacy locomotive. Even though the Basics itself wasn't as successful, that still makes it a very well model, to say the least. And reliable when given the right cars. It's not made for every track or every freight car, as we saw earlier, but it's still a reliable locomotive. It's very strong. It was able to pull 10 freight cars, and it's still a good model by Lionel. So it's not perfect, but it's great for a layout, albeit a more advanced layout, but nevertheless, thank you again for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Have a good day.